Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Chloe makes a feeble attempt to win Philip over in the Days of Our Lives recap for September 27, 2023, putting her love for Xander completely out of her mind. Tripp clarified Wendy's misunderstanding, Xander warned Sarah and Rex, and Susan Banks communicated with Ava and Harris. Let's now delve a little more deeply into what transpired. A somber voice, Chloe welcomed Philip into the house she and Xander, Paul Telfer, shared and questioned his purpose for being there. They weren't speaking about his brother getting married. Chloe kindly filled in the spaces for Philip after his hesitance to fully explain, saying curtly, "Let me guess. The wedding was crashed by Xander." "Yep. Certainly did." Chloe admitted that she was to blame for Xander's behavior. After all, she had told him the truth, a fact she learned after listening in on Rex and Philip's conversation, that he was Victoria Margaret's father. Then Chloe lamented the demise of her and Xander's plans to travel to New York and get married, and Philip replied that it might still happen. Nothing really is able to stop them. But there is, I see, so many things are preventing them. The infant Sarah and Philip's affections for her are all factors. That's accurate. Additionally, Chloe had overheard enough of the exchange between the brothers to infer that Philip still might harbor feelings for her. After Philip protested that he had never intended to interfere with her relationship with Xander or to cause conflict between Sarah and Rex, he launched into a self-pitying tirade, saying that he didn't deserve her love after what he had done to her and Brady. Chloe stated that she understood Philip was not the same guy she once knew, and she made it clear that she was prepared, willing, and able to forgive him, forget about him, and help him move on. For a brief while, Philip tried to determine whether Chloe could ever sincerely love him again, but she refused to respond. For her side, Chloe argued that her ongoing feelings for him were in no way an emotional reaction to what had happened recently, but Philip didn't seem to be persuaded. Xander went to Sarah after being restrained outside the Brady pub and demanded an explanation for her conduct. How would you characterize her? Keeping a child away from its father yes, they did exactly what they did to Eric, but that situation was quite different because Sarah had deliberately kept Victoria Margaret from him. That wasn't true at all, Sarah hissed. She was preventing a murderer, a blackmailer, from raising her daughter. An attempted murderer, a diamond smuggler, a burglar, and a man who held someone prisoner in a cage. Sarah had once again played God, and Xander was furiously angry that his past transgressions had been exposed in front of him once more. He also asked sarcastically how it felt to be so perfect. More back and forth, more venomous insults slung. Rex arrived and confronted Xander, who'd promised to battle the two to the death to claim his daughter. When Wendy's freedom was in danger, Tripp, Lucas Adams, allegedly revealed the whereabouts of his mother and Harris Michaels, Steve Burton. Wendy was horrified to learn this. He'd choose her. Why? "Because of my affection for you," Tripp responded. In contrast to Ali Horton before her, Wendy responded right away. The two chose to stay inside and cuddle rather than choosing to climb onto the roof and announce the news. A very irate Ava, Tamara Braun, requested another sign from Susan indicating her whereabouts in London. Harris glanced at Ava's food and thought his friend's request, and yes, the two are now buddies, had been heard. Ava, on the other hand, vehemently opposed. What did it prove if their pastry crumbs appeared to have been gathered in the shape of the letter E? Well, a quick internet search revealed to the two that Susan had previously been married to an Englishman by the name of Edmund Crumb. The hotel room that Ava and Harris had hired was empty, which disappointed Rafe aka Mr. Sherlock Homeboy and Jada. They were further offended to learn from a fooled Tripp that Ava and Harris were on a mission to find, and allegedly alive, Susan. It's been 25 years since Adam Kane made his Days of Our Lives debut as Edmund Phineas Crumb. The British man was a resident of England when he encountered crazy Susan Banks and became involved in her protracted conflict with Kristen Dimara. Now that he is back, he will run across Harris, Steve Burton, and Ava Tamara Braun as they look for Susan, who has vanished. A review of the character is provided here. The works of Edmund Phineas Crumb first appeared in 1998 in England. To keep Susan and her son Elvis away from Kristen, John, Drake Hogestyn, set up their relocation abroad. Susan was introduced to Violet Crumb's son, Edmund, after meeting Violet, the proprietor of a nearby tavern, and the two fell in love right away. Sadly, Kristen found out where Susan was after seeing a picture of Susan and Edmund defending John-C and Vivian at their wedding in London. Susan got a call from Kristen on the day Edmund went shopping for an engagement ring for her. The evil Dimara confessed that she had abducted Sister Mary Mora and threatened to kill the nun unless Susan flew home with baby Elvis. Penelope, Susan's sister, appeared just before she departed. Penelope agreed to assist Susan after learning of her situation, so the two of them took a flight to Salem together. When Edmund came back, everything was in disarray. Kristen, who drugged Susan when they met, was enraged to find Susan had left Elvis in England. Kristen had set up Susan's sale into white slavery in the meantime. Kristen started acting like Susan when Susan was being brought to the Supreme Leader's palace. Kristen attempted to drug Violet and steal Elvis when Edmund unexpectedly arrived with Violet and Elvis in tow. John, on the other hand, tracked her down and took her to the Penthouse Grill, where Edmund had planned a surprise nuptial. Kristen married Edmund so she wouldn't have to reveal her identity. After finally getting away, Susan called Edmund to alert him to Kristen. Violet nevertheless informed her that Edmund was away honeymooning in Bermuda with Susan. Kristen was revealed after Susan hired a pilot and traveled there. Susan set up Kristen's return to the Supreme Leader's island and inclusion in his harem as payback. On April 21, 1998, Edmund and Susan were at last reunited and said, "I do." No reason was revealed for Susan and Edmund's divorce until Susan subsequently returned and unexpectedly became connected with Roger. Updates and spoilers for Days of Our Lives tease as Kate Brady rips into Vivian Alamain. Mama Bear will lay into fake Mama Bear. Philip Kyriakis feels queasy because Vivian has been putting undue pressure on him and referring to him as her son. Victor and Kate's son Philip was created through in vitro fertilization using Kate's egg and Victor's sperm because Kate had trouble conceiving naturally. Vivian managed to implant Philip's embryo into herself despite Victor not buying what she was selling because she wanted to keep a hold on him. That is the tale of how fake Mama Bear came to be fake Mama Bear, and it also explains why Vivian called Philip her son in front of him. When Chad Dimara resigned, Philip and Vivian got into a heated fight over who should replace him. She told him that he was her top pick and pledged to bring him Chloe Lane, even though she knew she couldn't keep that promise. Philip instructed fake mother Vivian to go without saying a word and to phone the mental hospital he was in to inquire about bed availability. Philip explains to his real mother Kate what Vivian had attempted to do to him, and he claims to have admitted to Vivian that working for Titan had somewhat contributed to his mental condition. His fixation with Chloe and his long-standing high school-era jealousy of Brady Black were what really drove him crazy. Kate recognizes that Philip is still vulnerable, and the last thing he needs are Vivian's actions to undermine his recuperation and send him over the brink once more. At Victor's memorial, Philip struggled to keep it together while grieving the fact that he was unable to say goodbye to or express his love for his father. Kate is not about to let Philip's recuperation, which had been doing so well, be destroyed by this. The word succubus seems suitable. Kate enters the Titan office prepared for hand-to-hand fighting, complete with claws and hair tearing, and quite unafraid of Vivian once more discovering a handy grave. Kate chuckles to herself at her new moniker for Vivian, sarcophagus succubus, and this time she'll dig the grave herself to bury her in. Kate has already been declared dead or believed to be dead a few times. All she wishes for is Orpheus, George Del Hoyo, virus to inject into Vivian. Make sure to keep up with everything going on with DOL at the moment. For Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and updates, check back frequently. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.